Hi there and welcome back to my channel. It's been a while since I posted, but I wanted to post a different video today that is quite important to me. October is actually Selective Mutism Awareness Month, and although October is pretty much finished, I did want to get in at the end and post a video about it because it is not well known and I had selective mutism. So I just thought it would be a good opportunity to talk about what it is and my experiences with it and how I've progressed since I was younger. So first of all, selective mutism is quite rare. It's not very common. Most people don't know about it. There's not a huge number of people who have it, but it is essentially the most severe form of social anxiety, and it essentially renders someone mute, but in specific situations, in situations that they're uncomfortable in. So oftentimes it'll be children, and most of the time it'll be in situations like school, but at home they'll seem perfectly fine. So this was pretty much the case for me. I had selective mutism from when I was very young. I don't remember exactly, but definitely like preschool years. And for most of my time in preschool and elementary school, I didn't speak. The way my parents found out that I wasn't speaking in school, because obviously I seemed like a perfectly happy, talkative child at home, was that one day one of the teachers, I think, mentioned to my mom that, you know, Jamie is a great child, but it would be great if she would speak. And that was the first my mom heard about it, and then she immediately tried to figure out what was wrong, and of course it ended up being selective mutism. So from about that time until grade 6 at school, I was pretty much a nonverbal at school. I would not speak to the teachers, I would not speak in front of the class at all. I would not speak to teachers or friends, and if I did, it would be whispering to them in their ears. That was the only way I would speak to them, and it would have to be if I was really comfortable with them, so like my best friends, or I would have to obviously get to know teachers beforehand to allow me to feel comfortable. So if something was wrong, because obviously I also have allergies, it was a safety concern that I wouldn't speak. If I, for instance, had a reaction and then didn't speak, then it would be an issue. So my parents really made sure that I was able to at least speak to the teachers if I needed to. So throughout school, I had friends, and I would speak to them either very quietly, maybe at recess, or when I was alone with them. If I had like a play date with them at home or at their house, I would be fine. I might be a bit quiet around their parents, but other than that I would speak to them. I even once had a friend who I never spoke to for a period of time. In about grade 3, I became friends with this one girl, and I would kind of like mimic out stuff, or there was a like chalk drawing on the pavement outside with letters in it, and I would literally spell out things on the letters to speak to her. But other than that, if I would speak to my friends, it would be whispering in their ears at school, and if I was called on in class, I would always sit next to a friend so I could whisper in their ears, and then they would speak for me my answer to the question. When I was younger, I remember my parents taking me to some speech therapists and some other people to try to get me to speak and be more comfortable speaking. Some of them didn't really help, others did more so. There was one when I was quite young who I do remember helping a lot. Not to the point of me speaking, but I think to the point of me like whispering to friends or speaking to them on the phone or something like that. And even though that doesn't sound like a big thing, in terms of where I was, it was really a big step to even leave a phone message for a friend. That was a huge thing for me. And I continued like this for most of the beginning of elementary school years. I improved kind of very slowly, a little bit over the first half of it, and then in around grade 6 I went to a new therapist because I decided I wanted to improve and try to get better and get over this hurdle, and that's what I did. I spent a lot of time working through it, and I really put a lot of effort into it, and the way that I improved was through really, really small steps, and kind of just working my way up. So that would be even something as simple as my therapist would tell me to go to my dance class and say hi to someone, and that was it. And for me, that was a really difficult thing to do. And just every week say hi to someone, or maybe ask them the time, or ask them a small question, and that was a huge thing. And just from doing this, it became easier and easier. It was just practice. It was really practice speaking. And slowly it got a lot easier for me to speak, and by the end of elementary school I was able to speak in class. I didn't like being picked on in class. If I volunteered an answer to a question, I would be okay, but getting picked on and putting me on the spot is a big trigger for the anxiety. Even now, it really, really is difficult for me if I'm put on the spot. And I wouldn't really do presentations, but even by the end of elementary school I was starting to. Like the difference from grade 6 to grade 8, it was huge. And I would speak to my friends, and I was still very quiet, but I was speaking, and that was a huge, huge accomplishment for me. But the issue is everyone still saw me as like the quiet girl, and that didn't go away in elementary school, and that part was quite tough, but I was really looking forward to high school because it would be just a whole new group of people, and I would be able to start fresh without people knowing me as the quiet girl. And I did that. I was still a quiet girl, but I wasn't the girl who didn't speak. And I made some really great friends in high school, and even the first person I became friends with in high school is my best friend now. She is the best. And a lot of my friends there, I would tell them that I used to have selective mutism and this is where I am now, because I wasn't really shy about talking about it, if I was okay speaking to a person. And it's just a really significant part of my childhood. It's affected me in good ways, and it's also made my life difficult in lots of situations, but it's made me resilient to working on things and working through things, which is such an important thing to me. Now I wouldn't still say that I have selective mutism, because I've come so far with it, but it does still affect me in some ways. I had reached a point by the end of high school where I was probably the best that I had been with it, and then my first year of university came and it kind of drained me, and if I was like here by the end of high school, my first year of university dropped me down a bit. But now, after having transferred schools, this year has been a lot better, and I think it's gone up, and I've worked on it even through this year and last year. I found that if I'm in a new situation that I'm anxious in, it has been harder to speak, but I've pushed through those for the most part, and I will definitely have more experiences like that, but for now I've worked through a lot of those. Although I've had a pretty positive experience in terms of working through the selective mutism, the one thing I can say is that I haven't ever known anyone with it, and I didn't realize how much it would have helped to know someone with it until recently. I still don't, but there is one YouTuber, Jamie Jo, who I've been watching over the last year or so, and she has spoken about being very quiet and being mute when she was younger, and then on a live stream just a few days ago she specifically said she had selective mutism when she was younger, and it was a realization for me to realize that if I had known other people with it, it would have made it feel less strange and less isolating, because it was very often isolating to find myself in situations where I couldn't speak, and the way I always described it when I was younger is that the words got stuck in my throat, and that is what it felt like. I physically couldn't speak in certain situations, and there is nothing more frustrating than that. And I didn't realize until she specifically said she had selective mutism. I think naming a thing is very significant, and it just makes it feel more real. And I think if you perhaps feel similar to anything that I've said and you don't know why, maybe you aren't speaking, maybe it's because you have selective mutism, and if you do, just know that there are ways you can work through it, and there are ways you can improve, and there's help and resources that you can go to help with it, and it's not something that should stop you, because it is something that can be worked through, as hard and difficult and isolating as it feels. That is all I want to say about it for now, I think. I might do more videos in the future on it. This is kind of just an overview of my experiences with it and what it is. If anyone wanted to hear any specific stories or had any questions about it, I'd be more than happy to answer. So let me know in the comments. And that's all I have to say for now, so thanks for watching.